What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to talk to you on Lucid. I want to go over some of the data points, what they're saying, what's been coming out from the company, and where I see things going from here. Before I get into any of that, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. And with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid is currently down 0.92%, which in comparison to the other EVs is not doing too bad. So Tesla is down 3.3, Rivian 2.2, Mullen 8.8, Polestar 4.2. So once again, Lucid is doing fairly well in comparison, and that's largely because of what has recently come out. So I'll share that with you in a second. But when it comes to the volume, 16.31 million shares being traded, 32 is the average. So a little bit low today, but then again, today is Friday, kind of normal for that. As of today, though, there was no press releases, no SEC filing, so it is just following the broader market of sorts, as well as just investors trying to digest what has recently come out. So even though there was no official PR on social media, this was posted so by Lucid. Lucid Gravity, our next force of nature, makes contact on November the 16th at the LA Auto Show. Gravity will begin production late this year, or next year, sorry. So of course, when it comes down to the Gravity, that is huge for Lucid. It's going to make up roughly about 30 to 40% of all of their future demand based on at least their 2021 projections. So this is definitely very, very good. And so far they've kind of been on track. So they did say that in November there was going to be the Gravity launch. And so that is where we'll be able to find out the price point, because I do feel that is going to be a very big determination in the Gravity success or not. Because if it's, let's say, 140,000, then investors might not necessarily like that, versus if it's 100,000 or 80, or best case scenario, even less than that. I don't anticipate it, but again, if it's in that kind of price point-ish, then I feel like that's going to be a very, very big success. And then of course, the mid-sized SUV is going to piggyback off of the Gravity's success and momentum from that. So I think it goes hand in hand. So when it comes down to the Gravity launch as huge as well, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think they've actually done a official Sapphire launch. I've seen several different pictures floating around of deliveries, but I don't think Lucid has actually done a true Sapphire launch. Again, that could be coming down the pipeline, or it might have been a closed event. I'm not really sure. But as I've signaled in the past, if I was Lucid, I would make the Sapphire launch to occur on October the 31st, because that would be a little bit more symbolic, only because October 31st, 2021, that is when Lucid actually started to deliver vehicles for the very first time. So it'd be more symbolic when it comes down to that. And plus, keep in mind, at the whole AMP1 facility, they are kind of moving to phase 2. And that's obviously, I think, in my opinion, what they are going to kind of blame for the lower production levels, because in the actual Q4 earnings 2022, I've shown you guys plenty of times, so I'm not going to waste your time for that, but they signaled that there's going to be kind of rolling blackouts as they kind of transition to phase 2. And so yeah, phase 2 is ultimately for the Gravity. So they are moving in the right direction ultimately. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. But aside from this though, investors are still trying to digest, I feel, a lot of the Q3 numbers, so the production delivery numbers and stuff like that, as are analysts. So it looks like John Murphy, who does have a 53% success rating, recently gave a rating, they're from Bank of America as well, $8 price target. So once again, not necessarily the best. And plus, when it comes down to Bank of America, though, they've always been very big Lucid fans. So the fact that they're giving an $8 price target, probably not necessarily the best. They started out very, very optimistic. They've been slowly reducing it kind of step by step. But still, all the analysts' expectations and price targets, it does have a consensus of around $7.15, which is still a 66% upside. So again, just letting you know about that. The latest Morningstar report, it does show the fair market value for Lucid, that's with the assets, being $9.39. So once again, just letting you know about that. If you are looking for a lot of good compiled information, such as analyst ratings, forecasts for the upcoming earnings, take a look at Interactive Brokers, link in the description below, and also the comments for all of this to be completely free. So take advantage of that while you can. But moving on from this though, starting off with options. Currently there's around $477,000 in calls being purchased versus 635 in puts. So a little bit more oriented towards puts, but if you do compare this information to the previous days, it does signal a little bit lower puts. So once again, that could be interpreted as people might be slightly more optimistic today versus the last couple days. So obviously there was massive sell-offs and stuff like that. And looking at the calls with the open interest, based on at least going into the next couple of weeks or the following weeks, it is most likely anticipated to be roughly between the $5.50 and $6 range. And so that's obviously incorporating their earnings on the November the 7th, if I remember correctly. So the November 10th expiry date earnings are going to represent that. As far as people, if they are bearish or not, people are anticipating basically for it to be sub $4 after their earnings. So I think based on this and looking at the options activity, the risk versus return is definitely there. My own opinion, of course, not a financial advisor. You guys always do your own due diligence. But just briefly looking here, these are some of the transactions that did occur on the secondary market over $100,000. So kind of matching with the lower volume today, relatively light when it comes to that. I'll give you an overview of what shorts are doing. Shorts have been running rampant quite heavily with Lucid over the last little bit, but short score is currently 86. Utilization is 95.5, and shorts right now are increasing 2.85 million shares. So the fact that they are increasing on a red day does signal that they kind of feel that it's justified. So once again, that's just my interpretation of this data. 26.01% of the free float is being shorted. 228.69 million shares overall are being shorted, and through the interactive broker short availability, it does show around 700,000 shares are available to be shorted. And cost to borrow average has been going up more and more over the greater part of the week. So 13.45% is the average when it comes down to that. But when it comes to the data points and where I see things going, at least in the short term, with it right now at $4.31, it is between this S3 and this S2. And I did say this ever since I think my last video when it was around $5.30, if I remember correctly. I said you need to really watch for these 2 points, and the $5 kind of level did break, as did the $4.76. So as of right now, it is just following the technicals fairly well to a T, in fact. So the S3 right now, so very strong support, is at $4.19. And vice versa, the very strong resistance above this is $4.76. But no matter what, there is a pretty wide gap. So that does mean there's going to be a lot of volatility. So you just have to anticipate that. So again, a lot of these videos is just short-term kind of mentalities, what the data points are saying. But if you do believe in Lucid long-term, then most definitely take advantage of these discounted prices, especially once the whole AMP2 facility gets full force and once they actually start to kind of produce at the levels that they stated, so around 155,000 a year, that is when Lucid is going to make a very big difference in the market. My own opinion. So again, it's just kind of up to you guys to make that determination on short-term, long-term investments and so forth. Let me know your thoughts on Lucid. Give yourself a shout out if you have been buying, selling, holding, what you've been doing with Lucid over the last little bit. And as well, do you think that based on the technicals, it is getting to or kind of would break below this $4.19? Where do you see the low being? In my opinion, if I was just to throw a number, I do feel that around the 350 might be potentially the low. And as I kind of alluded to my last video, if a stock does trade below $5 for 10 consecutive days, it's considered a penny stock. So in my next video, I'm gonna do a little bit more of a deeper dive into what that truly does mean and why there might be a reverse stock split coming fairly soon for Lucid. But again, that's just might be jumping to conclusions a little bit too fast. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And one final thing I just wanted to share with you, take advantage of this promo. Today is the last day up until October the 21st. Just sign up for an account with Moomoo, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. So take advantage of this. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all of that said, I appreciate all of you watching, and let's all make a lot of money eventually on Lucid.